Hey guys, welcome back. We have a new week of astrology to get into. This week we've got a very busy energy week out there. There could be a lot of changes underway, things falling away, endings and beginnings, but there could be some loss, some release, some letting go, and also perhaps some changes to the way that we are doing things generally that are kind of a primary focal point or just playing out throughout the course of the week. We are in eclipse week, you guys. We have an eclipse coming up on Friday this week. It's also going to be, of course, a full moon in the sign of Virgo. Mercury stations retrograde the next day on Saturday. So this is making me think perhaps something that goes on or comes up in the energy of this full moon eclipse could perhaps lead to a need to rethink something, recalculate something, revise something, reconsider something as we move throughout the rest of the month. We also are in Sun-Saturn conjunction week this week, you guys. This only happens once a year. On the 12th, we have the Sun and Saturn aligning directly. This could honestly create a more serious, heavy, like somber vibe. Things could just feel like they're pressing on us, under pressure, weight of the world type of situation, maybe duties, responsibilities, obligations that we just can't get away from, or things to do also with bosses, authority figures, maybe like rules, systems, or structures of management and stuff like that could be under flux or just prominent for some reason. And to start our week out, you guys, we have Mercury and Venus retrograde coming into a conjunction. I am telling you, we're rethinking something this week. It could have to do with who we're connecting with and what we're investing in or what we've been invested in. There could be some renegotiation that might need to go on out there, but I don't know. I think that we are really probably going to be ready to make some big changes following the energy that comes in this week. So let's get into our report, you guys. We've obviously got a lot to talk about. Very powerful astrology week. Give you guys a nice little summary of what's coming at us throughout the course of the week and specifically what we've got going on to get our week started. Welcome back to my channel, you guys. Today is Monday, March 10th, 2025. My name is Aubrey. This is your astrological outlook of the day, where we are narrating the shift of the ages. And if you guys stick with me until the end of this report, I have done a collective tarot reading for us today as well. I like to tap the energy field for more than one modality whenever I'm doing these energy overviews, just to get an alternative energetic perspective on what's going on out there. So there could be some messages in there for you. We're going to do that at the end. We're going to start at the astrology, or we're going to start at the beginning with the astrology, as we should, because we have a ton of astrology going on this week and next week as well. This week and next week, you guys, are probably going to be sort of, again, like this theme of an otherworldly experience. All Pisces season this year is like Pisces extra energy because of this ongoing Neptune North Node conjunction that we currently have in the end of Pisces, which I did a whole video about a couple of weeks ago. This is a rare alignment. We haven't had this alignment come together in this sign in over 100 years, and it's all about a pretty profound process of spiritual growth, also karmic release. Okay, a spiritual upgrade collectively is indicated when we have this North Node, which is the destiny point alignment, with Neptune ruling the sign of Pisces, all about the spirit world, okay, our connection to a higher power, our beliefs. There is some type of collective evolution taking place in the context of our spiritual connection that is starting now and will play itself out throughout the course of, I think it's like 160 or 165 years in between this particular transit, Neptune North Node together in the sign of Pisces. Neptune and the North Node come together considerably more often than that. I think like once every 18 to 20 years, but in this particular sign, it doesn't happen for, I think it was like 160, 165 years when I looked at it for that video that I did a couple videos ago. But anyway, regardless, a very long period of time. And when two planets come together, it's the beginning of a new cycle between those planets. So we are starting a new collective phase of spiritual growth right now. And the flip side of that is karmic release as well, being released from the belief systems that tethered us to our past experience that was detached from whatever spiritual growth we're gaining this time around. Okay, but it's beginning now, and it will play itself out, I guess, generationally, since it's such a long period of time over the course of when, between this conjunction and between the next time that the North Node and Neptune come together in the sign of Pisces. And this energy, aside from, it's a sustained energy. It's been going on for a couple weeks. It's going to be going on for a couple of more weeks. And every time these personal planets who are transiting through the sign of Pisces right now, because we are in Pisces season, happen to be coming into a conjunction with that North Node Neptune alignment, it activates this, on one hand, fated release energy, on the other hand, the spiritual growth energy. And of course, Neptune, Pisces, this is the spirit world. This is all that is unseen. And the North Node there, this is this fated interaction with that energy. So generally, this is a time perhaps of enhanced spiritual phenomena, spiritual experiences, divine intervention, the invisible interacting with the physical in a way that is quite undeniable for some reason. And it is also really blurring the lines between what is real and what is not, truth and illusion, fact and fantasy. And as a result of that, it could just equate to some generalized strange times. I've been talking about both Aquarius season and this Pisces season as well being times of high strangeness. But the reason why I'm emphasizing that now to start this here report is because all that we've got going on this week energetically, and it's a lot, including a full moon lunar eclipse, right? Including Mercury stationing retrograde, including a Sun-Saturn conjunction. This is all moving us towards the Sun conjoining that Neptune North Node conjunction in the sign of Pisces, which is coming up next week. And that alignment, I feel like, is going to be significant. We are in extremely spiritual times, and the symbolism is backing that up. I will talk about that as I get more towards the end of the report. The spiritual symbolism and indications coming through, and the symbolism is literally like laughably off the chart as we get our week started this week. I'm telling you, the channel between, like, there is an open channel, open line of communication between the divine presence and our physical presence here on earth. So if you are requiring some type of spiritual guidance or assistance, do not hesitate to ask for it, because there is just you're gonna get it, you're gonna find it, something's gonna show up. But we need to be, open, obviously, paying attention. But universe is speaking, God is speaking, Great Spirit is communicating with us as we move through the energy of this next couple of weeks. And it really could be opening our eyes to some things, and it really also could be bringing the end of some things, bringing some things to a release point, and also really, really shifting the way that we are thinking about things and what it is that we want, what we find value in, and what we want to continue to connect with, and invest resources in moving forward. Ultimately, this week, and then moving into that energy of next week, has a lot to do, I think, with a time of karmic endings. Not only are we talking about a full moon lunar eclipse, south node eclipse that is happening this week. The south node of the moon is all about fated endings. That is karma. That is a release point, okay? But that's happening the same week as our Sun-Saturn conjunction, and therefore this full moon that we have coming up, which is also the lunar eclipse, will be in a conjunction and opposition to Saturn. Saturn is also known as the Lord of Karma, the Lord of Time. So not only are we moving through Sun-Saturn week, which has a lot to do with karma, the past, karmic lessons as well, but we also have this full moon lunar eclipse, which is about karmic release. And aside from that, you know what we also have going on to get our week started, you guys? We have Mercury and Venus retrograde specifically coming into a conjunction. This is very interesting. I said that we have a full moon in the sign of Virgo that is coming up. Virgo is ruled by Mercury. Fated release, having to do with the Mercurial Virgo energy, and also Saturn and the Sun in the sign of Pisces. This is belief systems, this is the past, this is also like structures and foundations and like systems of belief and control, and like the rules that we've been following, and the way essentially perhaps that our beliefs have structured our interaction with reality. I don't know, something along those lines. It has a lot to do with the other stuff too, which I will talk about this Sun-Saturn conjunction more specifically in a minute and in a lot more detail on Wednesday when that energy hits exactly. It can function a lot of different ways, but in the sign of Pisces, Saturn does rule belief systems, the rules that we have followed, and the way that we have interacted with or interfaced with our reality as a result of that. And then, as I said, we are starting this week, and I will talk much more about this in our report for the day, because this really is our main focus for the day once I get through this summary. But Mercury ruling the full moon that's coming up in a conjunction with Venus retrograde. Venus retrograde is also about past relationships, past ties, perhaps with the Sun-Saturn conjunction and the South Node eclipse this week, karmic ties in the context of relationships and of investments, enmeshments, connections with other people. Venus has to do with other people. It's what we love, it's what we desire, it's what we value, it's what we're attracted to, it's what we want to connect with and to and invest in and put our resources and our assets in. It's what makes us comfortable. Okay, Venus retrograde in the conjunction to Mercury is rethinking a lot of this stuff, and it's also putting front of mind maybe some of the old relationships or old ways of relating or old values, old things that we used to like, and also perhaps causing us, with Mercury about to station retrograde immediately following the full moon in Virgo, which is ruled by Mercury, which is also this lunar eclipse, which is about fated release. Mercury's going retrograde right after that. Mercury starting the week in a conjunction with Venus retrograde. It's another one of these like repeating patterns. Every way and any way you slice it, it's like we end the week reconsidering what we want, but it's whether we're aware of it or not, from a very karmic place, okay? And then the reason why I went into that whole spiel about the Neptune North Node conjunction and the Sun coming into a conjunction with the Neptune and North Node coming up next, like Monday and Tuesday of next week, as we move into the energy of next week, it's like whatever we're reconsidering, however we're rethinking things, this is that point of karmic release by way of some type of spiritual growth or expansion. Neptune, Pisces, the 12th sign, this has to do with what we're transitioning out of, what we're letting go of, what is washing away, what is being cleansed and eroded, what is dissolving. And the flip side of that, what we are also expanding and growing into on that more ethereal level in terms of our spirit body, more so than our physical body. It's like, what are we shedding that kept us attached to things that were maybe more superficial and are not truly in alignment with our higher self, that we may be awakening to as we move through this eclipse energy. And with the full moon coming up in the sign of Virgo, South Node, all that, how is it going to alter our lifestyle, our like what we do on a day-to-day, our habits, our behaviors, how we take care of ourselves, even like what we spend our time doing? There's going to be a lot of lifestyle alterations, I think, that come on the flip side of everything that we're moving through this week, and also that we're moving through in the energy of next week. So all that being said, you guys, we're on a journey over this next couple weeks. It is very much a spiritual journey. We are going to probably have to drop some things off, let some things go, but by the time that we get into the energy of next week and we do have this Sun North Node Neptune conjunction, it may just feel right. Like we may feel like we're ready to just sail away, or we're ready to, let it go with the tide. I'm using water references because of all of this Pisces Neptune energy. But yeah, we've definitely reached a transition point. And then, following that Sun Neptune North Node conjunction, which in many ways is like the end of the end of the end, right after that, same, like literally, I think it's like the next day, the sun enters the sign of Aries, which is all about the rebirth, all about the fresh start, all about something brand new, beginning a new cycle, right? Pisces is the 12th sign, Pisces is the end, Aries is the first sign, Aries is the beginning. So again, this super transitional point, endings and beginnings, gains and losses, but these are everything going on this week, you guys, is very, very, very karmic in nature. You can take that to the bank between the Sun Saturn conjunction, the full moon lunar south node eclipse, and also Venus retrograde, Mercury conjunction to start the week, and then Mercury stations retrograde right following that. I do think that this is indicating a time collectively where a lot of us are going to be sort of leveling up and finding ourselves being released from some karmic lesson or karmic cycle or karmic relationship dynamic that perhaps had been some type of lesson that maybe we've been caught up in for, you know, a very long period of time. So endings and beginnings for sure. I do think there is a significant focus going on this week as well with the Sun-Saturn conjunction about how things are done, how things are getting done, and what we want to do, the most effective and efficient ways of doing things. With the Virgo full moon south node energy, that's also indicating to me, as I mentioned earlier, like shifts, alterations, edits in lifestyles, behaviors, habits, routines. Something about the changes that are taking place this week, I think, is going to have a lot of people like switching up their schedules. And this could also be like health related, because Virgo is also the sign of the health and the healer. This could bring about like spontaneously breaking addictions, stopping bad habits, and a desire perhaps to like embrace a healthier lifestyle. I think that a lot of people are going to be spontaneously doing things and making changes literally perhaps without even consciously being aware of it, but the outcome of them is likely to be an enhanced level of physical health and well-being somehow, or just a more functional and efficient and productive like schedule or workflow or way of doing things, or just like lifestyle situation going on. Organizing, planning, and letting go, or again, like changing, editing, altering old systems and protocols. This could be very work related. There could be a lot of things going on in terms of like work, career, and to do with like bosses and authority figures as well. I wouldn't be surprised if there are like management changes or protocol system rule changes being implemented somehow this week as well. But again, on the side of that, very, very spiritual, mystical, metaphysical, super otherworldly energy present this week. Divine communion, reunion, insight, guidance. Very, very psychic week. Very, very sensitive energy, very intuitive energy. You may literally find yourself, and again, this comes back to the whole Neptune North Node thing, having some type of unexplainable spiritual experience, or experiencing some type of just out of this world spiritual phenomenon or something like that, that really changes the way that you perceive the reality itself. Universe is definitely speaking loudly, I think, if we have the eyes to see and the aptitude to listen. So do listen to your intuition, pay attention to what presents itself to you, signs, synchronicities, cultivate your language with which you communicate with the higher power in the universe this week. This is a very, very good week to do that as well. Ask to receive guidance and assistance. It is there for us in abundance. This eclipse that's coming up as well could also, and I'll talk more about this, I'm gonna put a whole video out all about, of course, the full moon and the eclipse later this week for my Friday video, but just to sort of preempt it, I am feeling, you know, with the Sun-Saturn conjunction, Saturn being authority figures, hierarchies, like bosses, the people at the top, and the sign of Pisces, this could put a prominence for some reason on religious or spiritual figures or authority, maybe especially in the context of A, some fated release, B, some prominent event, or C, you know, and this could go either way, some perhaps rise or fall in terms of grace and power. We are officially in eclipse season, of course. The eclipse that is happening this week is related back to the eclipses that happened this past September, I believe it was, and also the eclipses that will come up next Virgo season. We're in Pisces season now. The nodes of the moon are transiting Virgo and Pisces, which is putting our eclipses in Pisces and Virgo season for this 1.5 year period of time. The nodes of the moon take 18 months to transit a sign of the zodiac. So every 18 months approximately, we have eclipses occurring in different signs. But this set of eclipses will be connected to the ones that happened this past Virgo season and also the ones upcoming this next Virgo season. Eclipses tend to correlate to 6-month periods of time, and they're also, of course, always referencing a season of change that is underway. So probably a very, very busy week with the Sun-Saturn influence. Again, this could be putting pressure on us to get things done. Could feel like sort of the weight of the world is on our shoulders for some reason. And this full moon coming up could also indicate a sudden loss or the removal of something. And both of these, again, are very karmic in nature, and next week we are moving just into this very, very spiritual, ethereal, otherworldly energy. So it's just very interesting to me, and it's going to be interesting to see how this week flows into next week, how these aspects set the stage for what comes next with that powerful energy of next week. This is, as I said though, a very, very good time to like kick some type of bad habit, end a toxic relationship that has been like on the ropes for a while. If you've been waiting for a point to, you know, just really call it quits, I do think over this next couple of weeks is where you're going to find your out and making positive and productive lifestyle changes. Very, very, very supported in the energy of this week. This could also, of course, with the Virgo influence, also the Saturn influence, also the Venus retrograde influence going on to get our week started, could be very financially or materially related. And as I said, you know, things related to health or healing with the Virgo vibe as well. Also these sudden mindset shifts. It is crazy that we've got this full moon in Virgo lunar eclipse going on, and then the ruler of that moon stations in, you know, about faces, goes retrograde the very next day. So things that happen this week, things that come up, things that, I don't know, are presenting themselves as a result of this eclipse, we could really find ourselves needing to have a second thought about, take a second look at, reevaluate, revise, reconsider. I think that things that happen this week are really going to be impacting the way that we are thinking and feeling about things moving forward. Now, again, as I say all the time, Pisces energy, this is a dualistic sign. The glyph itself is supposed to represent two fish swimming in opposite directions. Of course it does. I mean, it's the end, right? But the end is also the beginning. It has to do with things kind of going in two different directions, operating according to two different octaves. So while the Sun-Saturn conjunction in alignment with this other energy, the eclipse energy, and all that we've got going on this week, could be indicating authority figures, you know, rules being implemented, an emphasis on maybe new management structures that are being put into place. This could also be bringing about the end, or, you know, people in a position of power perhaps losing their position, losing their reputation, the downfall of some old order as something new is simultaneously maybe in the process of being recognized, promoted, or implemented. So, you know, gains and losses, back and forth, old and new, ending and beginning, very highlighted as we move through this eclipse window and again into the energy of next week. But corrections and adjustments are definitely coming, okay? So how things appear to be as we move through this week are probably not going to be how they are once we actually get to the follow-up eclipse to this, which is the solar eclipse that will come with the new moon in Aries at the end of this month. Now, again, it's so weird because, as I said, I'm sort of looking at what we have going on with the eclipse and the Sun-Saturn conjunction and the Mercury-Venus retrograde energy this week in the context of the Sun North Node Neptune conjunction, and then the Sun entering the sign of Aries next week. And it's just like, it's so interesting because that new moon in Aries solar eclipse that we have coming up in 2 weeks following our full moon lunar eclipse where we are this week, at that point in time, Mercury will be back in the sign of Pisces with Venus in a conjunction to the North Node and Neptune, because both Mercury and Venus, because of their near simultaneous retrogrades right now, are going in the same trajectory, same direction, right back where they started at the beginning of this month of March. And it's into the conjunction in the end of Pisces with the North Node and Neptune. So this like spiritual influence, this highly spiritual influence that seems to be trying to refine our mind, refine our heart, elevate us on some level, evolve us spiritually, that allows us or facilitates our ability to release ourselves from something that had perhaps been binding or attaching us to a karmic cycle or karmic lesson that by this point in time has run its course. It feels like this entire month of March is playing itself out along those lines. Both of these eclipses are related to it. And the personal planets, through their conjunction to this North Node Pisces Neptune energy, I feel like are very, very indicative of either the reason why a lot of this is happening, like we are just finding ourselves coming to a point where we are ready for something more, or through what it is that we are losing in this energy, we are opening up to finally maybe being ready to alter, change, receive something different, something more, or maybe, you know, some spiritual connection or spiritual inspiration, or again, these highly spiritual experiences changing us in ways that are fundamental, which alters the way that we are doing things, what we're thinking about, how we're thinking about, and what we want going forward. It really seems all tied together, and there is this thread of spiritual growth that is just connecting it all throughout this entire month, okay, of March. And then it's so crazy because the very last day of the month of March, March 30th, we have Neptune, which is largely responsible for this energy that I'm talking about, entering the sign of Aries. Huge energy shift, and that is, I mean, Neptune beginning a new cycle around the entire zodiac, and it takes Neptune a very, very long time, over 100 years, to transit the zodiac. So another indication of having come to a point of endings that is followed by like an entirely new beginning that is pending right now, and that we are making our way to as we do move through this energy. So it's gonna be really crazy, I think, very, or at least very interesting to see the things that go on in our lives and on the world stage over this next week or two. It's a very interesting time to be an astrologer and to be following the astrology. So I'm happy to be here reporting on it for you guys. So that is my general assessment of this week, where this week is going, where this week is taking us, moving into the energy of next week. Now, I do want to focus more specifically on what we have going on exactly to get the week started. Monday and Tuesday energy itself. Wednesday, we are going to be talking all about the Sun-Saturn conjunction, everything that means, and you know, how that could be coloring our experiences. But I should say, even though the Sun-Saturn conjunction is happening on Wednesday, this is gonna be a vibe all week, and this is a heavy energy. Saturn is the ringed planet, you guys. It limits, it restricts, it controls, it contains, it can feel burdensome, it narrows our focus, it can bring up like every little thing that's wrong, but it also recognizes our efforts. It also rewards our hard work. While this may be a week where there's just a lot we need to get done, you know, the the pressure is on, there's so much we need to accomplish. This is also a week where there's a greater aptitude of receiving some type of recognition or acknowledgement from an authority figure, a boss, management, a higher up, for your efforts for a job well done. Yes, it has a tendency of promoting kind of like pessimism, maybe a bit of a negative attitude, but if we have really been putting in the work, it also can bring, you know, a promotion, or at least, as I said, some type of recognition for whatever it is that you have been working diligently on. And as I said, we will talk more about all that energy can bring to us on Wednesday, but I just, you know, want you to know, if you are feeling kind of low energy, if you are feeling kind of weighted down, maybe a little bit depressed, like everything is just very heavy, like you can't get away from just the constant barrage of responsibilities, and like you've just got so much going on and you don't know if you can possibly manage, and you're feeling a little bit glum about it, it could most likely be this Saturnian energy just putting the pressure on. But Saturn also is this karmic influence. It also does bring our karmic lessons, and we are also at a point of karmic release. So it could just as likely indicate perhaps some type of promotion or some type of acknowledgement that essentially like puts us in a position to evolve to something greater, something more, and get out maybe of that position or that cycle or whatever it was maybe that had been weighing on us. Okay, so we've got the Sun Saturn energy going on this week. Starting the week out on Monday, Sun and Saturn are -1 degree. There's a 1 degree orb separation between these planets, so this is a very tight conjunction. We're going to be feeling this all week long. Okay, also, to start the week out on Monday, we've got Venus and Mercury in a conjunction as well. They are also -1 degree, as the exact conjunction comes into place on Tuesday. The reason why the Sun-Saturn conjunction is not till Wednesday, because even though the Sun and Saturn spend 2 days at a 1 degree orb separation this week, because whereas the Sun should move and conjoin Saturn tomorrow, and we should have the exact Sun-Saturn conjunction tomorrow as well, Saturn actually also advances a degree tomorrow. So the Sun moves to the point where Saturn has been and is today, but Saturn also changes degrees tomorrow. So it won't be until Wednesday when the Sun catches back up to Saturn, and that's the reason for the lag on that aspect. But we do have the Mercury-Venus retrograde conjunction taking place on Tuesday exactly. And I feel like it's super interesting because this is Venus retrograde. Mercury rules the upcoming full moon eclipse, where we are going to probably be changing some things, dropping some things off, letting some things go, or just going through a process of release, loss, endings somehow. Mercury, the ruler of that energy, and the conjunction to Venus, this could be very much related to relationship dynamics, partnership dynamics, but also Virgo is an earth sign, you guys. Virgo has to do with money, resources, investments, wealth, okay? Venus also has to do with money, investments, deals, resources, assets, property. So that type of stuff, this could be quite financially oriented in terms of maybe some shifts or changes that are going on right now as well, which could make sense, you know, if there's career changes that are associated with this, which could very much be the case with the Saturn element here, because Saturn represents, you know, job, career, reputation. If there's like career or reputation shifts going on right now, then that on the back end would also create, of course, financial changes that are going on as well. So those two things could be interrelated or interconnected in the context of the way that this whole entire week really plays itself out. But it's just so interesting to me that we like start the week with Mercury, the messenger planet, the mind, what we're talking about, what we're thinking about, coming into alignment with this Venus retrograde energy, which is already telling us that we are perhaps rethinking relationships, partnerships, connections, investments, resources, assets, what we find valuable, what we find worthy, what we want to be committed to, connected to, invested in. And then a couple days later, turn right around and we've got this period or aspect indicating fated endings coming through with the mercurial energy in the sign of Virgo. So things that we're thinking about to get the week started could transition into things that are themselves changing or transitioning as we get to the end of the week, moving into next week. This could be a real point of endings and beginnings in that same regard. So it all fits together to me. Again, like I said, it's like any way that I'm like looking at this energy, it keeps boiling down to these very same points. And even the lunar aspect that we've got going on Monday to get the week started as well, we've got the moon transiting through Leo. The moon will come into an opposition with Pluto. This is powerful emotions, confrontations, ultimately transformations, maybe really changing the way that we feel about some things. This could also be a very like psychic premonition oriented vibe going on Monday. And then on Tuesday, while we have Mercury and Venus in the conjunction, reconsidering what we want, Venus is our desire, and what's in our heart also, like changes of mind, changes of heart, changes of feelings being talked about, being referenced energetically as we get the week started. The moon in Leo on Tuesday, while we've got that conjunction going on, is going to square Uranus in the sign of Taurus, okay? Taurus obviously being ruled by Venus, okay? The moon and Uranus in a square, you know, in the sign of Taurus. This could also be bringing relationship upsets, shakeups, sudden changes, sudden maybe shocking about faces or reversals in the context of finances, assets, resources, or it doesn't even necessarily need to be like reversals, but it could just be something that we weren't expecting, weren't anticipating. This Venus retrograde energy also, like it could just be thinking about unexpectedly hearing from someone from the past, old friends, old like exes, old lovers. Not a good time, you guys, to start a new relationship. Always a rule of thumb, when Venus is retrograde, this is not the time that you want to commit necessarily to anything, but I would say, especially right now, this energy is much more about resolutions to things than it is about fresh starts to things. You know, if it's meant to be, you guys, it'll be, whether it's now or later. But I'm telling you, you know, if you can wait to commit to something, to invest in something, you're probably just going to get a better return on your investment in the long run. All this Neptune energy, Venus coming back for another conjunction to Neptune. Neptune breaks things down, you guys, and in the sign of Pisces, Neptune can really break things down, and with the North Node there, these are fated endings. You don't want to get into a commitment in a time of fated endings. That's sort of doing things backwards, all right? So maybe just something to keep in mind. Now, I do want to talk just for a minute about the Mercury-Venus dynamic that we've got going on out there. I've been saying how it's a very like interesting interplay that we have with Venus and Mercury at this point in time. They essentially have been, I mean, they haven't been moving together, but they are moving through the same essential like path as a result of their retrogrades. And they obviously come into a conjunction during this time as well. The conjunction between Venus and Mercury on Tuesday is occurring at 8 degrees of the sign of Aries. Mercury stations retrograde at 9 degrees of Aries, and Venus stationed retrograde at 10 degrees of Aries. So we've got this 8, 9, 10 degree Aries situation going on between Mercury, the messenger planet, and Venus, obviously associated with the heart, what we want, what makes us comfortable, love, money, all that type of stuff. If you have planets, if you got personal planets or a stellium of planets or important planets around, 8, 9, 10 degrees of Aries, this Venus retrograde, Mercury retrograde energy, like you may find yourself really reconsidering some relationship and investment financial dynamics out there over this period of time. Also like projects and partnerships, again, like investments and commitments. You guys are probably being most specifically highlighted or impacted by the way that this energy is coming together. But with them both coming back from Aries into the sign of Pisces, into yet again the conjunction with Neptune and the North Node. Something is changing, you guys, but it's changing because we are changing and we want it to change. Love, money, relating to ourselves, relating to others in the world around us, what we value, what we want to connect to, what we find worthy, and what we put worth and value in, assets, resources, desires, also things having to do with reciprocity, balance, peace, the give and take of a situation, perhaps even like legal situations. We're changing our mind about it. We are perhaps finding ourselves feeling internally or spiritually elevated or upgraded, and it's like as a result our tastes, Venus energy, are changing. What we want is changing, what we desire is changing. Could very much be a result perhaps of some things that we have learned, some lessons that we have learned, maybe some karmic lessons that we have learned that have brought us to this point of being able to release ourselves maybe from, again, some karmic cycle that has kept us attached to those previous preferences or value sets or ways of relating, connecting, and desiring that maybe had defined us in the past, but because of whatever it is that we've gone through, whatever it is that we've experienced, we're at a point now where we're like graduating from that, and as a result of that, some things gotta change. And I think that's what's going on, you guys, as we move through this South Node eclipse, right? This is fated endings in a way that is likely to alter our lifestyle, our day-to-day, and even the way that we are taking care of ourselves. Again, like health and well-being on the up and up, I think, as we move through this period of time as well. Now, it could be as a result maybe of some like health crisis or something like that that comes about in this energy, but the ultimate outcome of it is probably going to be something that puts us on a path to be more healthy, to take better care of ourselves, or to think about things in a way that is like promoting our well-being, something like that as well. Okay, but ultimately I cannot stress enough the karmic nature of the times that we're moving through. Repeating patterns, Mercury and Venus both retrograding in this week during this period of time, emphasized the Sun and Saturn, Sun conjuncting the Lord of Karma, okay, the Lord of Time, karmic lessons, South Node in the sign of Virgo, full moon, lunar eclipse, an emotional release perhaps from, I don't know, karmic cycles, karmic patterns, ways of doing things in the past, things that have kept us detached to that old version that is not in alignment with this phase of spiritual growth or enlightenment that we are transforming into now, perhaps. Karmic endings, though, specifically indicated, I've said it a million times, could also hear from someone that you have karmic ties with, and something could come back up, come back around in this Venus-Mercury retrograde energy. The moon squaring Uranus, shakeups, sudden change in assets, resources, partnerships. I said that earlier. Sudden realization, perhaps, that your values or desires have changed. Maybe a sudden distaste for something coming out of nowhere that is creating some type of change in the way that you're doing things generally. And it could be heavy, it could be overwhelming, it could be burdensome, it could feel like a real chore. This week generally could feel like a real chore. It's so weird, you know, the Sun-Saturn energy can be so heavy, but we've also got this like such otherworldly, ethereal, you know what I mean, like release energy as well. The two fish swimming in opposite directions. Maybe some of this pressure is what we're going to release. Again, there could be real shifts and changes that are of like a career or financial oriented nature going on throughout this period of time. Could have to do with rules or limitations, control issues as well, and things to do with control, and of course the authority figures, as I said. Karmic connections taking center stage, but in the context of karmic release. What we are not going to be associated with, or who we are not going to be associated with, what we are not going to be attached to, and what we are no longer going to be investing in going forward as a result of some lessons that we've learned, perhaps finally coming to a place of putting them into practice and altering our behavior as a result of that. That's how I'm tying it all together. Highly spiritual time, wide open channels to communicate with the divine. I told you guys at the beginning of this video I was going to get to some Sabian symbols because the symbolism is just like blowing my mind a little bit with the spiritual associations that are coming through from these specific set of symbols. So let me just tell them to you. We have the Mercury-Venus conjunction on Tuesday happening at 9 degrees of Aries in terms of the Sabian symbol placement. That Sabian symbol is a seer, gazes intently into a crystal ball in front of them. We have the Sun at 22 Pisces on Tuesday, a prophet bringing down the new law from Sinai. We have Mars at 19 Cancer, a priest performing a marriage ceremony. We have Saturn at 23 degrees of Pisces. That Sabian symbol is a materializing medium giving a seance. We have Jupiter at 14 degrees of Gemini, bridging physical space and social distinction. Two men communicate telepathically. And then we have Pluto at 4 degrees of Aquarius. A Hindu healer glows with a mystic healing power. So we've got a prophet, we've got a seer, we've got a priest, we've got a materializing medium. Like, are you kidding me? We've got people in literal telepathic communication, and we've got a Hindu healer glowing with a mystic healing power. I don't really know, if you could ask to receive a more like spiritually, mystically oriented, healing, metaphysical set of symbols as we are heading into this 2-week period of energy, which I feel like is all about that type of stuff. Otherworldly, highly spiritual, mystical, metaphysical time that we are moving into, that is obviously being displayed in our symbolism of Tuesday as we really get this energy started. So consult a higher power, you guys, this week. Divine guidance is definitely available. I mean, as I said, we've got a literal prophet bringing down the new law, which is so in alignment with this energy as well. The Saturn-Sun conjunction in the sign of Pisces, like I was saying, just as this represents like rules and laws being implemented, the new law, okay, in order for the new law to be implemented, that inherently insinuates that there is an old law that is coming to its downfall, that is being released, that is no longer in effect, okay? And the spiritual significance of the Piscean energy and the North Node Neptune conjunction, you guys are following me, right? You see how this is all fitting together. And then we've got literally the Sun, a prophet bringing down the new law from Sinai, a seer gazing into the crystal ball in front of them. Like, we can see the future. We've got two symbols here, a materializing medium giving a seance. Like, that's also a direct tap into the spiritual world to extract information to benefit us in whatever we're doing. We've got telepathic communication, the priest also performing the marriage ceremony when we've got such an emphasis on this Venus relationship oriented energy. And then of course also the telepathy and the Hindu healer with the mystic healing power. So that's what I think, you guys. I think that we are moving through just an incredibly spiritual time right now. As a result of that, things are probably not going to feel all that real. You may yourself feel very, very strange as we move through this period of time. It could be like, it could kind of be low energy. Don't be surprised if you're just kind of generally feeling out of it. The Sun-Saturn conjunction can lower like our general enthusiasm and can kind of suppress, especially in the sign of Pisces, our like overall levels of vitality. Now we do still have Mars in the sign of Cancer forming a trine to the Sun-Saturn conjunction this week, which I'll get more into. Like I said, the next video we are going to talk a lot more about that midweek energy and that Sun-Saturn conjunction. But if you are feeling just like out of it, disoriented, like there's like something standing in your body this week, like you're just not feeling like yourself at all, it probably does have to do with this frequency bath that we are all kind of in, and just the way that is impacting your personal electromagnetic field. Because, we really are all through our brain, which really is kind of this emulsion of fats and oils and crystalline receptors. We're like antennae, okay, for the electromagnetic universe that essentially we swim in. Just because the air looks like there's nothing in it doesn't mean that that's the case. The way I understand things, the air to us is really very much as water is to a fish. They don't really understand probably that they are swimming in water. They probably perceive it as just this colorless atmosphere around them. The air that we perceive as air is actually this electromagnetic stew that we're kind of brewing in all the time and picking up via those crystalline structures in our brain on these various frequencies, which are gearing and orienting us in different directions, you know, depending on how they're altering our own personal vibrations. And that's really, if you get down to it, how astrology works. It's like constantly altering like if we were a radio, you know what I mean? Like it's changing the signal based on the ways and the strengths of the various energetic emanations that are coming through. And that's also why it has a tendency of being so accurate and so on point. Of course, our own personal natal charts are going to alter the way that we experience the energy bath that we are moving through. But generally, we can expect certain outcomes in the context of certain activations, even though they may be to greater or lesser extent, depending on how they are impacting us personally. So, there's that. But anyways, you guys, that's what I have to say today. It's gonna be fun times. We want to try not to take things too seriously. That can happen when we've got the Sun and Saturn in a conjunction, but we're in eclipse season, you guys. God, universe, great spirit is like literally at the helm right now. Things are happening for a reason. Again, very, very fated / karmic times. We're kind of just along for the ride right now. I do not recommend either investing in nor committing to a person or a thing. As I said, if it is meant to be, it will be when the time is right, and this just isn't necessarily time, unless, of course, that's part of your personal path of evolution and you need that particular lesson in order to personally progress, in which case, you know, it's gonna do what it's gonna do, and it's gonna be what it's gonna be, and there's no fighting essentially the tides of karmic experience when we're unaware that that's what we're going through, which is a whole nother tangent, okay, that I talk about all the time, of gaining an awareness of, you know, how essentially we operate and interact with the different dimensions of ourselves so that we can become more conscious of programming our own experience and less susceptible to these perpetual, you know, frequency shifts that are altering our experiences and conducting various facets of our lives. So anyways, I'm gonna stop going into all of that right now, and I have the synchronicity cards out, but I'm gonna set them down because actually it's not synchronicity card time yet, it's tarot card time. We have a tarot message that we need to get into. So funny, you guys. This tarot message, I feel like, is so very much reinforcing what the overall astrological message is. Look at this message that we've got coming through. First card, Nine of Cups, the Wish card coming up. Secondly, we've got the Knight of Pentacles in reverse with the Ace of Wands on top of it. And then we also have the Judgment card in reverse, and we've got the Three of Cups on the back of the deck. Now, why I'm sort of chuckling about this is because to me, this is talking about, like, perhaps, well, reversals in judgment, All right, there could be some reversals in judgment that are going on, or reversals in judgments. Like, this is Venus retrograde. This could be legal situations. There could literally be reversals and judgments that have already been made that are going on right now that are associated with some wish fulfillment and that change the course of things. But another way that this energy could be interpreted is changes in our judgment, or changes in the way that we are thinking about things, or changes perhaps in judgment calls that we are making in accordance perhaps with some new wish fulfillment that we are evolving into now, or that we are realizing we are awakening to right now, or that we are kind of shifting into now. Like, some, maybe, again, like I was saying, like Venus retrograde with Mercury, we are altering our perspective, altering our desires, changing what it is that we want as a result of some perhaps like spiritual awakening, or like connecting with like a higher dimension of ourselves, or a higher power, or just some spiritual inspiration, or perhaps just coming to a point where we feel like we are ready for and deserve more, and we're no longer, maybe as a result of some karmic lesson that has been learned, willing to settle for what we had been, and we're not attracted to the same things anymore. This whole same basic theme. But and the Judgment card is also a highly spiritual card. This is literally a card about like coming back to life as a result of some epiphany or awakening, or, you know, hearing the trumpets, and as a result of that, it like sparking some rebirth process within us that is kind of like a life overhaul that kind of like alters the course of the direction of our lives going forward. And with it being in reverse like this, I'm reading this because the card actually fell on the floor, like it was upright and then it fell into reverse. So I'm like, oh, so these are reversals in judgment. That's the way that this energy is speaking to me right now. Maybe changing our mind, shifting our preferences and what we desire and what we want. The Knight of Pentacles in reverse. It's like an about face, like reversing course. The Knight of Pentacles is like what we are building, what we are moving towards, what we are progressing into, step by step, brick by brick. Like, it's about material, financial, like what it is that we are investing in the hopes that something will grow into something stable, tangible, physical, like security, abundance, all that. That's the Knight of Pentacles energy. It's this slow, gradual but stable process of growth. But with it in reverse, and with the Ace of Wands right here, the Ace of Wands, that's a sudden inspiration, a creative passion, a spark of like vitality or life force energy, or again, like creativity, passion, inspiration coming through that could maybe be reminding us or bringing to the forefront of our mind in a different way maybe what it is that we really want. Judgment in reverse, Knight of Pentacles in reverse, that causes us to maybe want to stop putting time into something, stop putting energy into something, stop putting resources into something, stop working on something, stop building something, realizing that it is not leading us to what we deem now as wish fulfillment. It may have been what we wanted in the past, but it was a part of the past cycle that we are being karmically released from now, and as a result of that might no longer be in alignment with what we would consider true fulfillment or wish fulfillment. So really saying very much the same thing as the astrology to me. On the back of the deck, we also have the Three of Cups, which is about relationships, you know, camaraderie, celebration, get-togethers, the social dynamic of things. So I think that this could be pertaining to relationships, friendships, what we enjoy doing with the Venus energy. So I don't know, you guys. But again, it looks like this could be indicating a time of shifting preferences, desires, attractions, what we want to relate with, what we want to invest in. And we may be kind of thinking about reversing that, thinking about pulling out, thinking about going in another direction. That could be the direction of things. I don't know, but that's what those cards are saying to me. Okay, we're gonna get one more card now and get a synchronicity card. God, Spirit, Universe, what is a final piece of guidance or advice? What do we need to know? What should we keep in our mind as we do move through this upcoming week? And it says, you guys, right action. And the Lord shall guide thee continually, which is another thing that I've been saying. The spiritual guidance available right now is essentially unmatched. Please, despite, I mean, Saturn in the sign of Pisces, this is also with the sun, this could be testing our faith big time. This could also represent spiritual tests. Do not lose faith, you guys. Do not lose faith. If anything, use this period of time to somehow try to strengthen your faith somehow, or that is just going to be the outcome of what we're moving through. But this card is also saying, and the Lord shall guide thee continually, Isaiah 58:14. Trust God, know his love is within you. Know God is guiding you, and there are no wrong turns, no wrong words, or wrong actions. Everything you are doing while holding this knowledge of God in your heart is leading you to your goal. Believe it, your goal and success are yours right now. So there's our spiritual guidance, you guys, as we get this week started and continue to move through this period of time where we're probably going to be questioning a lot. Things are going to unfold in the way that is ultimately putting us on the path to where we need to be as we go through this larger transition of ages right now, head through this 20-year Pluto in Aquarius transit that is going to be very self-empowering on some level and is going to be working to free us to align with our higher selves. I mean, because I don't really want to go all into it right now at the end of the video, but both our transition into the age of Aquarius and the Pluto transit through the sign of Aquarius right now are essentially empowering us to get on a path to self-actualization, activate destiny, find our purpose, like step into the more powerful version of ourselves that maybe we have been waiting our whole lifetime to align with. And this is the energy that is moving us in that direction. Okay, so there's no wrong turns, no wrong words, no wrong actions. Everything is unfolding according to this higher plan right now. Believe it, your goal and success are yours right now, even if we don't see it or we don't feel like it. We need to just keep moving forward with the faith that we are moving in the right direction. So that's what I got to say today, you guys. Message from the stars, message from the cards. Lots of energy this week. Big energy week, significant energy week, this week and next week. Endings and beginnings. Very, very transitional times. And thank you for being here. I hope you guys liked the video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, you guys. Share it with your friends if you think they would also enjoy or appreciate this type of astrology content. Leave me comments. I am so grateful for your presence on my channel. I really appreciate and value you guys. It means a lot to me when you let me know what's going on with you out there. If you're having experiences that reflect what I'm talking about in these videos, please let me know in my comment section below. If you want to know what's on this here whiteboard, I do have a Facebook group where I post images of those boards linked in my description box below. And come back with me on Wednesday, you guys. We're gonna get right back into this bang, 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 big, big, big astrology week. And we've got more to talk about, of course, on Wednesday. So I will be back to talk all about it. You should be here too. You do not want to miss it. I will see you next time, guys. Have a beautiful introduction to your week. And until next time, bye.